All right, folks, new week, new camera setup here. Everything's changing, everything's evolving very quickly for the Nintendo wrap. Thank you all so much for watching that first episode. Your feedback was awesome. People seem to really like the format that I'm using going forward. So, yeah, if you enjoyed this, let me know. If you don't enjoy it, let me know why. And so with that said, let's wrap up the week. Alright, so just a reminder, of course, it is Friday, June 10th, so Mario Strikers Battle League is now available around the world. If you're playing the game, let me know down in the comments below. If you're not getting it, let me know why. I personally am probably not picking it up. I played a little bit of that beta, and I was like, you know what? I don't know if this one's for me. I'll get it eventually, maybe on Black Friday or something, but with no story mode or anything like that, this is one I can probably sit out on, I think. And for those that missed it, on June 8th, I believe, Nintendo released a demo for Fire Emblem Three Hopes. Of course, that is the new Warriors game that is, I believe, essentially a sequel to Fire Emblem Three Houses. So if you're a fan of Fire Emblem Three Houses and its characters and world, you have a demo out for Three Hopes now. Of course, that game comes out, I believe, in 2 weeks on June 25th. So, of course, it is coming very soonly. However, that demo progress, it does carry over to the full game. I always love to see. Nintendo seems to be like one of the only developers, Nintendo and Square Enix, I should say, are like the only developers that do demos where progress carries over, so always awesome to see that. So yeah, if you want to check out Fire Emblem Three Houses before the game comes out in a few weeks, you can do that now. Alright, so this one comes from Go Nintendo. I'm using them as my source for most of these stories. This one's really interesting that I did not see many people talking about. US copyrights have been filed for Nintendo Studios LLC and Emblem Brothers Productions LLC in relation to the Illumination Mario movie. Browsing through the US government provided public catalog of copyrights, the existence of Nintendo Studios LLC and Emblem Brothers Productions LLC has been discovered, both being listed as part of the untitled CG animated Super Mario Bros. Motion Picture project that's currently in production at Illumination. In case you didn't know, the abbreviation LLC, yada yada yada, which is basically a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo allowing Nintendo to separate the accounting for the release of the movie. Illumination's Mario film will be released on April 7, 2023, being distributed by Universal Pictures, yada yada yada. So this is really interesting just because, you know, this is like Marvel Studios or PlayStation Studios. This is Nintendo Studios now. I think this is a good sign for those wanting more Nintendo cross-media kind of action with more TV shows of Nintendo properties or movies. So I don't think this Mario movie will be the end of it. I just want to throw it out there. Not many people were talking about this, and I do think it is definitely telling that we are moving towards a what's the word? You know, just transmedia, multimedia kind of future with video game properties. Okay, so this week we had a ton of little Summer Games Fest events, E3, not E3 conferences. I'm going to recap the things that pertain most to Nintendo audiences. So I guess the biggest show out of all of these was Summer Games Fest, of course, hosted by Jeff Keighley. I don't want to imbue my opinions too much in these new shows. However, that was awful. I usually am pretty positive on the Keighley events, you know, even as like a PS5 owner. No, this one was not good. Callisto Protocol looks cool, but we already saw that at Sony State of Play. However, there were 2 announcements that really pertain to the Nintendo audience and go into a bigger kind of thing that was happening. Well, first of all, not as important, but still kind of worth noting. Midnight Suns. They got a new trailer for that. Spider-Man's in the game. Looks okay. They showed CGI trailers, not gameplay, so you never know. But the Switch version, we knew a Switch version was coming. It is not coming day and date with the other versions. So the game comes out on October 7th on PS4, PS5, Series X, all that, and PC. The Switch version is not releasing then, so yeah, I think that tells you their priorities when it comes to that Switch port. The trailer ended with no Nintendo Switch logo in sight, so I would not expect that to come until probably next year. So if you were looking forward to playing Midnight Suns on your Switch, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer. But then the 2 most interesting tidbits of news from Summer Games Fest for Nintendo fans, there was not much. There was no bones being thrown to us. Not that there was much for anybody. It came in the form of release dates for 2 indie games, I guess would be the right way to call them. So Neon White, of course, this is like the super fast-paced action card game. I forget the developer's name. We'll put it up on screen. It looks really great. It was in a direct, like I think a year ago or something like that. It has a release date now of June 16th. Now, before any of these events happened, there was a r/gaming leaks and rumors rumor from an anonymous user saying that they had been embargoed or whatever, and that it seemed as though due to Neon White's release date being on June 15th or June 16th, it's one of those. I'll put it up. Due to it being released and seemingly shadow dropped this week or next week, that kind of hinted towards a Nintendo Direct. This game is a console exclusive on the Switch, and then of course is on PC, so people were kind of speculating, okay, that means that maybe we'll get a Nintendo Direct announced and then happening on Wednesday, I believe, yeah, June 15th. Then another leak happened. I think I actually mentioned this in the first episode of Nintendo Wrap, where the PlayStation database listed TMNT Shredder's Revenge for a June 16th release date. Once again, people kind of expected that maybe that meant that we would see it and have it shadow dropped at a Nintendo Direct. Well, no, that also got a release date coming out at the same time. So awesome. These games are coming soon. They both look awesome. I'm not a TMNT person. Casey Jones is in there. So yeah, awesome that these games have release dates. Definitely hurts the plausibility of a Nintendo Direct happening next week. Of course, we'll have to monitor the situation and see what goes on. I'm hoping we get a Direct, but my expectations for that happening have definitely plummeted. I don't think, I personally, I'm in the camp that we're not getting a Direct this month, but we'll see. And that was it for Summer Games Fest. However, there was the Limited Run Games 3 showcases, their third E3 summer time frame kind of event. A lot of stuff for Switch. Obviously, Limited Run is big on the Switch. However, I just want to run through a couple of them. We got a new trailer for Way Forward's River City Girls 2. Undermine getting a physical release. Blade Runner Enhanced was announced. I think that was a new announcement, but it's getting a physical release. Spider Soars, once again, a Way Forward game. Shadowrun Trilogy getting a physical release. And then some more stuff. Doom Eternal is getting a physical release on Switch. That's kind of notable because it originally was going to be physical. Then it got announced as digital only for Switch when it came out finally, like a year after release. Boy and His Blob, TMNT, this is funny. If you pre-order TMNT through Limited Run Games, you actually get a coupon for a free personal pan pizza at Pizza Hut like they did back in the 90s for that game, so that's awesome. Blossom Tales 2 is coming out on August 16th, also getting a physical release. Just a bunch of random stuff. Nothing crazy. I didn't get this one. They're releasing Tetris Effect Connected. I could have sworn that was already out on Switch. Frogun looks awesome. Frogun. But most notably to my audience, and something that I'm probably putting in the title of this video, we got new 3DS games, babies. So this is awesome. If you can't really see it in my camera setup, but I am a huge 3DS collector. I love 3DS. We are getting the final Nintendo 3DS game released physically later this year. The tweet reads from Tanuki Studios, "It's official, the Go Go Coco Polo Anniversary Collection, and possibly the very last set of physical Nintendo 3DS games coming in 2022 from Limited Run. More details to follow." So if you watch the trailer, we're actually getting, if you're a collector, this is important, 3 different boxes. I guess 4 if you want to count the collector's edition. So we're getting Go Go Coco Polo, which was a DSiWare game that apparently has since been delisted. Then we're getting the 3DS sequel, Go Go Coco Polo 3D. Those are both getting separate releases, and they're also doing a 2-pack with both of them on one cartridge, plus a collector's edition of that 2-pack. So if you're like me and you want to collect, you're probably buying 4 games that day. Yeah. Yeah, it's obviously kind of collector bait, but I will say the game looks fun. I had never heard of Go Go Coco Polo. It's like, they describe it as a chase 'em up. I think it looks pretty interesting. It's awesome to see 3DS maybe getting its last game. Maybe we'll have more after this. Who knows, really? But yeah, so Go Go Coco Polo, potentially the last physical 3DS game releasing ever, which is super interesting to see. Next up, we have Devolver Digital's Countdown to Marketing event, or whatever they called it. You know, if you watch Devolver Digital, you know they're just kind of like the quirky ones. They do the I think for some people it's pretty cringe memes. I think they're okay, kind of on the nose. They had Suda51 hosting this one, kind of. He was in it, which was really funny. Not much for Switch owners, however, 2 huge things. Well, I guess 1 huge thing. So Cult of the Lamb, that new game, that looks sick. That is releasing on August 11th. I think there's a demo on Steam right now or something. So that looks awesome. And then there was a bunch of other stuff that I don't think was announced for Switch, like that Angerfoot game. I assume it'll come to Switch eventually, but they didn't mention it. However, there was a huge game, probably the best game that's been announced in this entire like E3 Summer Games Fest season for me. This game looks awesome. So this was going to be a separate news story because earlier in the day, James Turner, the art director for Pokemon Sword and Shield, the creator of, you know, fantastic Pokemon designs such as Vanillux and I think Cinescourge and all that, Pokemon Sword and Shield's art director basically announced that he created a new studio with his buddy, and that they would be announcing a game very soon. And then we saw that game, and it is called the Plucky Squire. This is a 2D meets 3D kind of game with his iconic, amazing art style, where you have this character, the Plucky Squire, on the pages of some kid's, sketchbook, but then he hops out of the sketchbook and is in a 3D kind of environment, running around. I guess you're solving puzzles. It looks really good. Go watch the full trailer. It is a fantastic trailer. This game looks absolutely phenomenal. It's coming out in 2023 on Switch as well as everything else, and I can't wait to see more. They can do so much with the puzzle aspects of it. I'm guessing, because there's one scene where you have like a jetpack in a 2D section, but then in the 3D section you also have that same jetpack. So I'm guessing you're going to be getting mechanics from the 2D sections and bringing them into the 3D world and vice versa. So a lot of potential with the gameplay mechanics they showed off here. There's a lot of variety they showed. Even stuff like Scribblenauts where like he's writing out the word bridge so he can make a bridge, and it looks awesome. This is probably easily one of the best looking games I've seen in a while. Just a fantastic art style. Kind of give me Link's Awakening vibes. Of course, the remake from 2019. So Plucky Squire, go check it out. Probably my game of the show so far, if not that, Resident Evil 4, but one of the best games announcements I've seen in a while, to be honest. All right, so I debated if I should even cover this one. However, I think as a Nintendo news show, I have to even cover the stuff that is non-news. So on June 6th, Sonic announced that they would be hosting a Sonic Central on June 7th, the following day. That came and went. They showed basically nothing. It was meant to be a thing that kind of just teases, Sonic merchandising and stuff, and that's fine. Sonic the Hedgehog 2, we're seeing Blu-ray release on August 9th. A very quick teaser for Sonic Prime, as well as a Sonic Symphony World Tour, Sonic coming to Fall Guys, and then the final thing they really showed was, two things. Sonic Frontiers Prologue, an animated little feature they're doing. They teased that for literally half a second, so that was kind of anticlimactic. And then they ended with kind of like an IGN preview of Sonic Forces, where they gave their impressions of the game. So, just really non-news. Wanted to mention it, though. Gotta shout out the bad ones also on this video series. And then last bit of E3 showcase news, Capcom actually announced their own showcase coming on June 13th at 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern. I think they confirmed that, we're going to see more Resident Evil Reverse, which isn't Nintendo, Resident Evil 8 DLC, which isn't Nintendo, Resident Evil 4, Street Fighter 6, none of these are Nintendo games. I'm not sure why I'm even talking about it. However, I'm sure we are going to see more Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak and maybe some other things that pertain to the Nintendo audience. So I guess if you're interested in Capcom stuff, maybe look out for this. It says around 35 minutes of news and in-depth updates on previously announced Capcom titles. So I'm not expecting any new game announcements here, but I guess that could maybe be some sort of Switch port of something. Maybe, probably not. Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, that's, if you're a Nintendo fan, that's what you're watching this for, I guess. Okay, so we have a couple rumors. This is probably one of the biggest news stories that happened in the last week, and no one talked about it for some reason outside of like the first hour that the article was posted. So Imran Khan from a Fanbyte put together a kind of feature detailing a potential sequel for 1-2 Switch that was in development based on his reporting from multiple sources. So I'm just going to run it down real quick. The game was going to be called Everybody's 1-2 Switch, which absolutely sounds like the name of a game Nintendo would make. The developers have gone through multiple ideas for a sequel. The inspiration for the sequel came from Jackbox Games and the Jackbox Party Pack. So it was going to be a game where you used your smartphone that would allow for lobbies online of up to 100 players, which I think is really interesting because 1-2 Switch was such a local party-based thing. Although that kind of sounds like chaotic fun, I'm not going to lie. 1-2 Switch is not a good game. However, that honestly sounds pretty fun. You can go find a Fanbyte's article on this. They go into way more detail, but essentially they did a focus test for the game, a couple of them, and everybody hated it. So apparently Nintendo doesn't want to release the game, despite being finished. They don't want to release the game because they don't want to damage the reputation of the 1-2 Switch franchise, I think is what I'm gathering from this. Of course, this is all rumors. We don't actually know, but I think this all sounds pretty plausible to me. Nintendo is still considering releasing it as a standalone $60 title, while other people internally think it should be added to the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack. So Yeah, don't be too surprised if we see a game called Everybody's 1-2 Switch pop up in the next Direct. I honestly think it sounds kind of fun, but I don't know. Maybe I actually didn't hate 1-2 Switch as much as everybody else. So, yeah, just really interesting stuff. Go check out the article if you want to see more details. They even go into details on like some of the mini games and stuff that would have been in the game. So, or could be in the game if it does end up releasing. So, yeah, go check out that. All right, we have another rumor from Windows Central, of course, coming from Jez Corden, famous Xbox leaker. He has a report out saying that Toys for Bob is actually working on a new Crash Bandicoot title. In particular, this seems to like it'll be a multiplayer-focused experience with 4 players brawling it out amongst one another. I believe this rumor actually popped up about a year ago. The game was going to be called Wumpa League, but then when Toys for Bob got merged with Activision's Call of Duty support studios and all that, you know, after the development of Crash 4, I kind of seemed that we probably weren't going to get anything new from Crash, any new games from Toys for Bob. That seemingly might not be the case. We're going to find out very soon, I suppose, on June 12th when the Xbox and Bethesda showcase happens. It could very well be in there. But yeah, a 4-player Crash game definitely seems to be missing the mark. Unless it's Crash Bash, I don't want it. Or I guess Crash Team Racing also is good. But a game called Wumpa League where it's like a brawler, I think. I don't know, man. Not for me. Not for me personally. Okay, so this isn't really news, but I just want to talk about it because it was one of the highlights of the week if you are a Nintendo fan, or in particular, a Xenoblade fan. So on June 8th, Nintendo announced that the following day on June 9th, you'd be able to pre-order the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Special Edition on their Nintendo Store. The Xenoblade 3 Special Edition is going to be exclusive to that Nintendo Store. This is speculated due to the fact that the release dates were seemingly shuffled, just based on the fact that also we also got confirmation in this. I think we kind of knew, but they're shipping the special edition in 2 parts, so you'll get the game at release, but then you'll get all the other special edition contents later in the fall. So people trying to say that they didn't delay Splatoon 3 in favor of this game releasing in the summer are definitely wrong. This game was definitely not supposed to come out in July. Manufacturing was not there yet. They were not ready to release it. So something happened with Splatoon 3. I guess that's kind of maybe the bigger takeaway here. But yeah, so they put up pre-orders and Nintendo Store website absolutely imploded. People were trying to get this thing for actually like 10 to 12 hours. It was ridiculous. I was there the entire time. I could not get it. I know a couple people that weren't able to get it. However, yeah, it was an absolute disaster. Every time you try to log in, it would log you out. People were getting it to their carts, and then when they go to check out, it would log them out again, or just at some point the cart icon just got grayed out, like they just disabled it completely. Then they took the website down for maintenance, then it went back up, and then eventually it ended with a tweet saying that a pre-purchase of the special edition will be made available again at a later date. An update will be provided once that timing is determined. So, yeah, shout out to Nintendo for having one of the worst websites and release structures I've ever seen for a video game. I really want that Xenoblade special edition, so if I can't get it because of their bad website, gonna be very annoyed. I jokingly said in my Discord server, like, they should have just made it, because a lot of people are blaming scalpers. I'm not really like that, but they should have made it so that, like, you know how they do like the promotional emails? They should have had it so that if you've played Xenoblade 2 or even Xenoblade Definitive Edition, you get like an email link or something. I think Sony's been doing that with the PS5 where they send out email links for purchase opportunities. It almost would have been better. Now, I would have rather played the lottery at this thing, because this website could not handle the Xenoblade fan base. All right, this one's kind of random, but Kamiya, Hideki Kamiya, of course, from Platinum Games, just mentioned in a tweet that he said, somehow I wanted to say this again. This is just the rough translation, by the way. Somehow I wanted to say this again, but if you are thinking of playing Bayonetta 3, I definitely want you to play Bayonetta 1 and Bayonetta 2 by now. I think that the person can enjoy the story 100 times more if they play the first 2 games. So, really interesting. I have not played Bayonetta 1 or 2. Don't know anything about the story. However, worth noting, they said the exact opposite when Bayonetta 2 came out. They specifically said you don't need to play Bayonetta 1, but now with Bayonetta 3, that has shifted, and I guess they're going for more story and lore-focused stuff with Bayonetta 3. Just worth noting. Also, gonna tie it in here, the eShop page for Bayonetta actually got bumped up to the top of the eShop for some reason, so people were speculating that we're gonna see a trailer soon, maybe even at Summer Games Fest, and then that didn't happen, so we could still be getting something soon. Maybe we're getting a direct next week, and maybe that's why Bayonetta 3's eShop store page was updated. Or we could just get a trailer drop. Nintendo's not afraid of doing that. So yeah, if you're looking forward to Bayonetta 3, but haven't played the first 2 games for some reason, make sure you play them. I'm probably going to try to play them before it comes out, but I guess I should get on that soon, because it's supposedly coming out this year. I don't know if I believe that, but... All right, folks, final news story of the week, and then we have a couple of wrap-up things I want to talk about. Fatal Frame and Silent Hill films are both in the works, apparently. So Christopher Gans, director of Brotherhood of the Wolf and the original 2006 Silent Hill movie, let us know in an interview with the French film news sites Allocine or Alicine. There's no rumors or speculation here, because he straight up says it. I have 2 horror film projects with Victor Harida. I am working on the adaptation of the video game Project Zero. Of course, that is the European and Japanese name of Fatal Frame. The film will take place in Japan. I especially don't want to uproot the game from its Japanese haunted house setting. And we're also working on a new Silent Hill. The project will always be anchored in this atmosphere of a small American town ravaged by Puritanism. I think it's time to make a new one. So no official announcements from Konami or Koei Tecmo. However, he says it right there. He's working on a Fatal Frame as well as a Silent Hill movie. Once again, going back to the Nintendo Studios thing, just interesting to see that we are getting way more of a push of video game adaptations of movies and TV series, so don't expect it to slow down. Silent Hill, I can understand. We already got a Silent Hill movie, like he said, back in 2006. Fatal Frame is not popular enough to deserve a movie, but okay. And then moving on from there, I do want to talk about a couple more things here. If you are collecting the Nintendo Switch Online icons, we do have 2 new sets of game icons available. Breath of the Wild icons are now available, as well as Mario Strikers icons. So if you are, for whatever reason, collecting those with your My Nintendo Platinum points, go do that. You have, your limited time. I think it's like July they end. So yeah, Breath of the Wild and Mario Strikers icons now available for the Switch Online members. And then something I want to start doing at the end of every episode of Nintendo Wrap is just look at the Nintendo Switch eShop charts for top 5 games of the week, and just kind of monitor it. This will be an interesting way to just keep tabs on what's really popping off on the eShop. So our top 5 this week is Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Stardew Valley, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Minecraft, and Nintendo Switch Sports at number 1. So Nintendo Switch Sports really doing well. Normally at this point, and to be fair, this was for June 4th, so a couple days old. Normally though, like a couple days before release, you would have the new Nintendo game pre-orders at number 1. In this case, it should have been Mario Strikers Battle League. I'm sure next week's will be Mario Strikers Battle League at number 1, but I think it is interesting that Switch Sports is doing really well. People are kind of just brushing it off, but that game has actually done incredibly well, I think. I'm excited to see sales numbers for that when we get our next financial earnings report, I think in August for Nintendo. So there you guys have it. That is a wrap, pun intended, on this week's episode of Nintendo Wrap. Let me know if you have any feedback on how we can improve the show. I want to keep doing this every week. It is so much fun talking about Nintendo news with you guys. I want to keep evolving the show. I want to get my chair so that I can sit in at some point. My legs are both asleep. They hurt. I have no feel in my legs, guys. I'm touching them right now. There's nothing in there. I'm massaging them, and there's nothing. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of this week's news. What is your favorite story of the week? Were you trying to get that Xenoblade Special Edition? You failed. Did you enjoy any of the E3 conferences this year? Who knows? There is, of course, the Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase on Sunday. You might get some Cuphead information there, I guess. They also showed that at Summer Games Fest, to be fair. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. Of course, if you can follow me on Twitter at BoTalksMedia and everywhere else, TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, Twitter. You can do all that. You can join my Discord. Link to that will be down below. And until next time, guys, peace.